away from all the vultures. No, scammers is here, just keeping it real. Big got it out the mud, but it's still so clear. So sit back, relax, and just let us lead you. If you're trolling for no reason, then we don't need you. It's Big XL, he can't be stopped. Riding dirty forever, the home of real hip-hop. Ride dirty, y'all can't harm. I still live fly in the sky with a song. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty. Ride dirty, dog, y'all can't harm. I still live fly in the sky with a song. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty.
What up, world? Is your boy Vic XL. This is Riding Dirty with Vic XL. All right, this is Riding Dirty Show with yours truly, Vic XL. This is a show where we bridge the gap between hip hop and everyday life, bring you the people in the community that's definitely changing the ways of the world through arts, entertainment, entrepreneurship, socialism, activism, just all around good people. All right. Now, before we get into it, I always got to start the show by saying one time for the good people over at WRFG 89.3 FM, our FM radio home for the past 15 plus years. I also got to say one time for the good people over at Live365.com, all right? Live365.com is the internet's oldest streaming site. All right, but they are bigger than your normal streaming site. What they do is they allow terrestrial radio and internet radio stations to broadcast on their server via the internet. And we've had the pleasure and honor to partner up with them. And now we've launched our very own station, Ride 95. All right? That's RIDE 95. The way to check us out on a daily basis is go to live365.com. In the search engine, type in Ride 95. All right, that's RIDE 95. Click on the station logo. Once you click on the station logo, then you will actually hear music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right, now, if you want to check us out via the mobile device, download the Live 365 app. Once you download the Live 365 app, the same directions apply. Go to the search engine, type in Ride 95, click on the station logo, and you'll have music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right? Thank you, Live 365, for opening up your platform to us. All right? We are so appreciative. Also, one time for all the streaming platforms that carry the Ride and Dirty Show, whether it's SoundCloud, Mixcloud, iTunes, Spotify, all the 13 plus streaming sites that carry the Ride and Dirty Show. Thank you for working hard to keep your platform going, for we can have a platform to launch our platform. So again, thank you for all your hard work. It is greatly appreciated by us as well as those who check out the show. Okay? All right. Now, today is Thursday, September the 17th. I got a few birthdays I got to give you. All right, got to say happy birthday to Super Bowl MVP, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. He turns 25 years old today. Also got to say happy birthday to Florida rapper Flo Rida. Flo Rida turns 41 years old today. Definitely, I'm a huge fan of Flo Rida and his work. Man, really love Flo Rida. That's my guy, for real. And as I stroll down, got to see who else is having a birthday today. And I think that is it for all the people that I rock with. But definitely happy birthday to Flo Rida turning 41 and Patrick Mahomes turning 25 years old. For all those people out there, this is the first time in a long time that my sports fan. We have the NFL just starting off. We have Major League Baseball, which is winding down their season. And we have the NBA, who is also winding down their season. But for all my sports fans, and we have Major League Soccer, which is definitely doing this thing too. So all my sports fans, there's a lot of things on television for us to watch, especially if you love sports. Gotta say one time for all my battle rap fans, if you are a fan of battle rap, gotta say one time to the URL. The URL, they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary this weekend with a Big card. Clash of the Midwest is in an undisclosed location, but it can be viewed live via the Caffeine app. So definitely look very forward to checking that out. All right. Also, one time for Chicago rappers Chief Keef and Polo G, they're taking part in a Dream Stage virtual concert. All right. I'm not sure when it's going down, but Chief Keef and Polo G will be part of a virtual concert that I look very forward to checking out and seeing how that thing works out. All right. Okay. Now, it seems like, Kanye West is always on his rants. Well, Twitter has reportedly locked Kanye West's account for violating the violation of private informational policy. Now, I'm not sure what that is, but it probably has a lot to do with Kanye leaking those 10 pages of his record contract. But we'll definitely keep you posted on Kanye West and his antics. Also, happy birthday to those I say happy birthday to. Now it's time for me to do what I enjoy doing most, and that's giving you the people on the street, the people that are changing our community brick by brick, piece by piece, step by step, whether it's through arts, entertainment, philanthropism, entrepreneurship, or just plain good people. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Ride Dirty platform, entrepreneur Annemarie Sherdan. How are you doing today, ma'am?
Hi, good. How are you?
I am great. And I said Sheridan is Sheridan. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens all the time. Sheridan, correct. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure. Sometimes I have bad reception.
No, I hear you perfect. And the first thing I want to say is welcome to the Ride Dirty platform, and thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I got to say the name Annemarie is very close to my heart because my daughter's name is Ashley Annemarie.
Oh, wow. How funny. It's fun. It's funny. So legally my name is Annemarie, but I go by Annemarie a lot because I lived abroad and people couldn't pronounce my name. So, so either one is fine. But
Okay.
That's funny. How funny.
All right, that's definitely amazing. All right, so look, let's get into the life of Annemarie. You're an entrepreneur, but first and foremost, let the people know where you're from and how your journey began.
Sure. So originally, I'll try to summarize because it's quite a long story. But originally, I was mainly raised in Cleveland, Ohio, when the recession hit in 2008, I went abroad. So basically, I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in graphic design. And then I went abroad to teach English as a second language, and I lived abroad for a total of 9 years. 7.5 years was South Korea, and 1.5 years was in Canada. I did some traveling, cultural immersion, and things like that. And then I returned back to the States. And then I faced a lot of heartbreak and disappointments in my life. So a lot of the heartbreaks and disappointments, and with the combination of the good experiences, of course, in my life, basically led to the creation.
Annemarie, I think I lost you. Annemarie.
Hear me now?
All right, I hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, I'm so sorry. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I'm not sure what happened.
Well, I'm sorry. Great. What was the last thing you heard me say? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Start from the beginning. Just start from the beginning.
Okay, so so I was mainly raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in graphic design, and soon after I graduated college, the 2008 recession hit. So that basically led to me going abroad. I lived and taught English as a second language abroad for a total of 9 years. I lived in South Korea for 7.5 years and 1.5 years in Canada. I independently studied cross-cultural communication and conflict resolution while I lived over there. I've had internships and experience in the arts. Obviously, with the Bachelor of Arts degree, I have arts degree. And I have also faced multiple economic devastating times in my life, a lot of disappointing heartbreaks in my life. And a lot of the heartbreaks and the devastations with the combination of some good experiences, of course, led to my company pursuing compatibility. And the main trigger of the inspiration of my company was facing the heartbreaking reality that being with a partner for 8 years was not the right fit. That's basically how it led to how I am today, basically. That makes sense.
All right, yes. First of all, tell me a little bit about your studies abroad. It's like you're very well traveled. What are some of the things that you really learned that hit close to heart in your travels?
That is a very interesting question. Let's see here. I learned that people are people. No matter where you go, whether it's in America, whether it's in England, whether it's in Ireland, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Asia, there's good and bad people everywhere. And so just to give people a little bit more direction about my company, my tagline is that we use a genuine and dynamic approach for strengthening relationships, dating, and society. So what does this mean basically based on my experience is that I've learned that the reason why America is so divided in the first place is a lot of it has to do with culture. And there's so many dynamics of culture. It could be that you could be hanging out with two white people and they completely do not understand each other at all. You could be hanging out with two black people and they may not be able to understand each other at all. You could be a white person hanging out with a black person and realize that you have way more in common than a white person that's a neighbor. We are so divided on culture, it's really astounding, and a lot of it also has to do with perception. So my company addresses a very unique creative twist regarding that. So that's basically what I learned from my experiences abroad that led to my company. I hope that all makes sense.
Yes, it does. Now, when you talk about culture and the differences in culture, and when you look at what's going on in our world right now in 2020, do you think a lot of the issues stem from not understanding each other's culture?
Yes, I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely humongous. And I'll give people a perfect example. So the way I was raised, so I'm a white person with blonde hair and blue eyes, and I have a YouTube channel, and please do everyone check it out, Percent Compatibility on YouTube. My co-host is black, and his wife is white. So we joke that it's funny when you look at our videos because I'm clearly white as day, and he is black, and so but at the same time, we come from very different backgrounds, but yet we are so similar in our values now, So, but we talk a lot about culture and differences. So the way I grew up, if you look up Cleveland, Ohio, nearly 50% of the population, maybe even higher, is African American. So I joke on my YouTube channel that for me, being around black people is normal. It's just honest to God normal. I've been exposed to a lot of the black culture, and to me, I'm used to it. So when I hang out, but I notice I live in Las Vegas now. So when I hear about some black people venting to me about how they feel misunderstood or there's racial issues, a lot of that has to do with culture and ignorance and not being exposed to them. So and I was telling this, and I had a coworker that was venting to me about some issue, and I told her, I really don't think that person meant to offend you. I think this is a miscommunication and cultural misunderstanding, because the black people that I grew up around, obviously every black person community is different, right? But the black people that I grew up around, because I was one of the few white teenagers in the all-black theater, which is very unusual. I don't know if anyone has had this experience, but in my case, it's quite unusual. I haven't met anyone that had this experience. They're very blunt. Very straightforward. I'm quite a blunt white person, I think, and I joke with my black friends, it's all your fault why I'm blunt. But a lot of that has to do with culture, and I'm used to it. And if a white person has never been exposed to that, they might easily take it the wrong way. They might easily get offended. But I'm used to it, so I know what I know what it is and I know what to expect and I know how it works, so I don't take things the wrong way. There's just so many variables of culture and the way our society is now. A lot of it relates to it, and we just don't realize it because I think America is such a melting pot. Like when we watch TV and we watch movies, right? Like we just think it's obvious. How do you not know about my culture? It's like, but it's not obvious because if you're living in Idaho and 80% of your population is white, they genuinely may not have a clue about the Black culture because of that lack of experience. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. It's just the way that they were raised. It's the way they grew up. And so a lot of them could be shocked by, minorities due to that reason. So in my perspective, I saw my co-host that I don't see Black people as minority at all because you're huge. Like, yes, you are a minority, but population-wise in America, there's so much of you. And I was raised around a lot of you guys, so I joke, like, you can't escape them. They're always going to be around. Where I come from. So, and Las Vegas is a melting pot of people too. So I think a lot of that has to do with it, and we don't realize it. I think a lot of us don't realize it because we just assume that it's obvious, but it's really not. I think it's obvious to me because I've been exposed to so much, I think, compared to some average white people possibly. But I think it's not as obvious as we think.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. And I think a lot of times we just assume people know about us and they really have no clue. And I definitely think,
right.
I think we all should want to know about each other's culture, where everyone came from. And a lot of times knowing the culture will help you understand how a situation is reacted to.
I agree. I 100% agree. But it's hard because that experience is very difficult to understand. Like when I went to, like, for example, like Asians are a larger minority, like much more less of a minority than you guys. You guys are the dominant. Asians are up there, but they're still quite a minority. But when I went to Asia, I expanded my reach, of understanding their culture and how they speak and how they interpret things. And in America, it is different. And that's the thing with America that's so confusing. It's because when people come here, like when new immigrants come here, a lot of them expect that everything's just going to magically work out and they're going to fit in, right? But it's just not the case because a fresh immigrant from their culture is going to be totally different than a Korean American that was actually raised in America. You see what I'm saying? So, and also it depends on the home culture too. Their home culture, I mean, I've tutored ESL the people and they could be speaking Korean their entire life at home, but then they don't understand the public culture, the community culture. So then we stay divided and we stay to our bubble and we don't even realize it just because there's just so many dynamics to it. And I don't feel like the way that we're doing things is working. So pursuing compatibility is taking a whole new spin off on it.
Okay, definitely. So look, let's talk about your company. First, no, you know what? Rewind.
Uh-huh.
Before we talk about your company, you actually said something at the beginning that I want to talk about. Let's talk, if you don't mind, let's elaborate a little more about your 8-year relationship that didn't work, because I know those experiences led to the launching of your company. So briefly, let's talk a little bit about the relationship, why it didn't work, and how that led to your company.
Sure. Basically, when I was launching, a lot of the launching of my company was very therapeutic. It was like therapy, to be honest with you. I didn't really plan on it. It honest to God just happened, which is kind of funny. But when I was in the creation of my company, I just assessed, because I'm a kind of person that likes to learn about culture and dating and relationships. I like to learn a lot. And I just came to the realization when I was going through a lot of devastating emotions at the time of crying, upset, because see, my case is rare. Me and my ex have a very good friendship. Like, we're still on good terms. But it hurt me because I didn't want to hurt him. I genuinely cared about him as a person. He was like, we had our problems for sure. And I don't go into too many problems with my YouTube channel because I respect him. But we had our problems for sure. But at the same time, I came to the realization that a lot of advice that I was given from older generations when I was young was outdated and just did not apply to how I was expecting relationships to turn out. So, for example, like I'm 36, and I tell my co-host, Thomas, who's happily married, been divorced twice, had girlfriends, and he was fun the love of his life. And I tell him sometimes I just feel so disappointed because you just think like I thought to myself I would be happily married with a bunch of dogs and a business by now. But obviously my business is still progressing, but I'm not happily married, which shows that the advice that I was given from older generations just didn't work. They gave me a lot of false hope, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's not my fault. It's just their advice did not apply to me. And it's heartbreaking to come to that realization. And I feel like a lot of dating advice is outdated. It doesn't really work because people are going to make mistakes anyways. So percent compatibility is designed to give the public a push. It is designed to give single people, people that are lonely. Nearly 50% of the population is lonely over the age of 18 and getting worse with the pandemic. 2.9 rates per 1,000 people are divorced in the year of 2019, which is huge. And it just there's just so many dynamics and emotions that I felt like I could have done better, or what went wrong. How did I get there? Like I went through how did I even get to this point of getting out of an 8-year relationship and it just didn't work out? Like how? It's very devastating. It's devastating. And to start over is devastating. A lot of people have gone through this. And a lot of people, honestly, that give dating advice, as much as I appreciate the good intentions, a lot of them that give advice are honestly, they all lucked out. They luckily found their soulmate, and it's all worked out for them. But from a perspective like me, and from other people's stories that they told me, they feel frustrated because just because lucky people got lucky doesn't mean that it's lucky for the rest of us. Doesn't mean that it's been easy to find love. And you could be doing all the right things. You could be looking up dating resources. You could be looking up advice. You could be going online dating, going on a ton of dates, and it just didn't lead to your soulmate yet. And sometimes it feels very disheartening when you're ready for marriage and it didn't work out.
All right, I definitely understand that. And you know what I understand more than anything? Being raised by the older generation or getting advice from the older generation, because a lot of that advice don't apply in today's society. And it's not that it's bad advice, but
No.
it just doesn't apply when you're dealing with millennials.
It doesn't apply at all. And I was just about to post a video, actually. My co-host and I recorded something, and I get very insulted by some, even currently, they're not even that old, though. The intention is good. I acknowledge their intention is good. It's genuine. They mean well. But the certain phrasing that they say, it's very insulting. So I can't remember which expert it is right now because I was about to post a video on it. And if people want to check it out, it's going to be posted today or tomorrow at Pursuing Compatibility at the YouTube channel. But one relationship expert was saying why people are single is because there's something wrong with you. And me and my co-host talk about these things a lot. And we always say yes and no, okay? If you are not willing to compromise, then yes, there is something wrong with you. If you have ego and pride issues and you're not willing to apologize, then yes, there is something wrong with you, because no matter if you're in the right relationship, like with a really amazing woman or a bad one, you're going to fail because you cannot get over your pride and ego issues to apologize. At the same time, if you look at someone like me, I've gotten compliments from a lot of guys, and they say to me, "You're such a wonderful person. You're a beautiful woman. How are you not happily married?" I'm like, "That's a great question." And it just goes to show that some people have bad luck. And one of my best friends has never had a boyfriend, and she's a wonderful person. I've met people that are great people, and it's not that they don't try, that they have tried. They just have an unfortunate case. So the big thing with my company, if people want to help make a difference and help make the world a better place, is that we are trying to currently raise money to create multiple projects So, for example, every donation, if you look at GoFundMe, Build Love, Improve Society, every donation that you give contributes to expanding our YouTube channel, expanding our online shop. If you go to pursuingcompatibilityshop.com, every purchase that you make goes to fundraising for our projects, which would include hiring a tech team to create a dating app resource, which will be very, very different than most resources, in addition to other projects that would help make the world a better place. But yeah, I mean, if that all makes sense, it's, the advice is, it's frustrating because a lot of people, it's like, well, what do you know? I'm sorry, with all due respect, you have not been in the dating industry. You have not been single for 15, 20 years. You can have sex every day if you want to. You could be making love to your partner every day if you want to. You are happily married with, a good house and a dog. So sometimes, I mean this with no judgment, sometimes happy people are a little bit oblivious to the struggles of the real life. Like I said, nearly 50%